My beloved child, do not scroll past this moment, because what you are about to hear feels too personal, too precise, too unexpected to ignore. My beloved, there is someone connected to your life who reached a place where human answers could no longer comfort them. They carried your picture with trembling hands. Their heart was restless. Their nights became heavier than anyone realized. And in desperation they searched for a voice of hope. They believed someone might finally explain why your path together had become so confusing, why every attempt to move forward seemed to collapse, why every goodbye felt incomplete even when silence remained between you. My dear one, listen carefully, because this message is not about fear, it is about the moment hope begins returning where it almost disappeared. There was a season when your special person believed everything was over. They smiled in front of others. But inside they were exhausted. They convinced themselves that perhaps destiny had already written a different ending. They questioned every memory, every conversation, every unanswered prayer. They wondered if they had already lost what mattered most. My beloved, their heart became so overwhelmed that they sought spiritual guidance. They placed your picture before someone they believed could offer wisdom. They wanted answers. They wanted peace. They wanted permission to stop hoping. But what unfolded was nothing like they expected, nothing at all, because instead of hearing a message of final separation, they were confronted with something that shook them to their core. They were reminded that broken hope does not always mean a broken future. Sometimes, hope has to disappear, so faith can finally be born. My child, hear this with all your heart. Delay is not always denial. Silence is not always rejection. Distance is not always the end. You have mistaken waiting for abandonment. You have mistaken unanswered moments for forgotten prayers. But heaven often works where human eyes cannot see, where quiet seasons prepare hearts for conversations that could never happen too early. My dear one, how many nights have you asked, why did everything become so difficult? Why did the connection suddenly change? Why did doors close just when I believed everything was opening? Those questions were never ignored. They became part of your preparation. Every disappointment taught you compassion, every delay strengthened patience, every tear removed pride, every lonely season shaped a heart capable of carrying greater blessings without destroying them. My beloved, you thought your suffering had no purpose, but even now, you are stronger than the person who first entered this painful chapter. You pray differently, you love differently. You understand people differently. You have become someone who can recognize hope even inside uncertainty. That transformation was never accidental. My child, someone listening today has almost stopped believing. They wake up tired, they carry invisible battles, they feel surrounded by unanswered questions. They whisper, I cannot keep living with this uncertainty anymore. But hear these words. Do not surrender your hope. Do not surrender your peace. Do not surrender your purpose. The darkest chapter often convinces people that no sunrise exists, right before dawn begins appearing on the horizon. My dear one, repeat this within your spirit. I am not forgotten. I am not abandoned. I am still being guided. I am still being protected. I am still being prepared. Repeat it again. I am not forgotten. I am not abandoned. I am still being guided. I am still being protected. I am still being prepared. Let those words become stronger than your fear, stronger than your doubts. Stronger than every voice that told you your story had already ended, because something is already shifting behind scenes you cannot yet see, and what your special person discovered after showing your picture will challenge everything they believed about your future together. The next part reveals the words that completely changed their heart forever. What your special person heard next refused to leave their heart. Those words echoed through every silent night, every restless morning. Every unanswered question they had carried for so long. My beloved, they expected someone to confirm their fears. They expected to hear that your journey together had reached its final page. They expected permission to let go forever, but instead, they were told something that caused every certainty they held to begin collapsing. My dear one, they were asked a question they never expected. Why have you allowed fear to speak louder than faith? That single question pierced their heart more deeply than they could explain, because they realized they had been making decisions based on pain instead of hope, based on disappointment instead of wisdom, based on temporary emotions instead of lasting purpose. My child, many people abandon beautiful futures simply because they become tired while waiting. They mistake delay for defeat. They mistake confusion for destruction. They mistake silence for absence, but not every quiet season is empty. Some are filled with unseen preparation that only becomes visible when the right moment arrives. My beloved, your special person sat there unable to speak. They remembered every misunderstanding, every moment pride stood between both of you, every opportunity that slipped away because neither heart fully understood the other. Tears filled their eyes, not because they hated you, but because they finally understood how deeply fear had controlled their choices. They realized something painful. They had been protecting themselves so intensely that they were also pushing away the very connection they secretly prayed would survive. My dear one, listen carefully, because someone needs to hear this today. Not every person who becomes distant has stopped caring. Sometimes they become distant because they care too much. They fear rejection. They fear disappointment. They fear another wound they believe they cannot survive. So instead of risking honesty, they hide behind silence. And silence creates stories that were never true. My beloved, perhaps you also believed everything was finished. Perhaps you convinced yourself, if they truly cared, they would have reached out already. If they truly loved me, they would have fought harder. But life is not always that simple. Wounded hearts often struggle to express what healthy hearts communicate naturally. Hurt people sometimes love quietly, cry privately, and hope secretly. My child, never allow temporary appearances to define permanent conclusions. What you see today is only one chapter, not the entire story. There are conversations taking place inside hearts that no one else can hear. There are prayers being whispered that nobody else knows. There are battles being fought behind smiles that appear perfectly calm. My dear one, your own journey has not been meaningless. You have wondered why everything felt delayed, why blessings seemed close enough to touch, yet impossible to hold. But every season has been shaping your character. You are learning endurance. You are learning humility. You are learning compassion for people whose pain remains invisible. These lessons are becoming treasures no circumstance can ever steal. My beloved, there is also something else happening. While you have been focusing on closed doors, new pathways have quietly begun opening. The opportunities you thought disappeared forever are not as distant as they seem. Restoration begins long before people recognize it. Change begins inside hearts before it becomes visible in actions. Believe this, even if your emotions argue against it. Believe this, even if circumstances remain unchanged. Believe this, even if yesterday filled you with disappointment. Faith often walks ahead of evidence, and hope often arrives before understanding. My child, say within yourself once more, my future is not decided by fear. My purpose is not cancelled by delay. My peace is greater than my uncertainty. My future is not decided by fear. My purpose is not cancelled by delay. My peace is greater than my uncertainty. Hold on to those words, because they will become an anchor when emotions begin shifting again. And then, the one who had been listening so carefully gathered enough courage to ask the question that had haunted them from the beginning: is there still hope for us? The answer they received changed everything. And what happened next will reveal why they could no longer look at your picture the same way again. The question finally escaped their lips: is there still hope for us? And after those words, The room became completely still. My beloved, sometimes the longest silence carries the greatest answer. They waited, their heart racing, their hands trembling as they continued holding your picture. They feared what they were about to hear, yet they needed the truth more than comfort. Then came the response they never imagined: hope has not disappeared, it has only been hidden beneath fear. Those words broke something inside them, not their spirit, their pride. The walls they had spent so long building around their heart began to crumble. They realized they had been preparing themselves for loss, instead of preparing themselves for healing. My dear one, listen carefully, because this truth is not only for them, it is for you as well. How many times have you expected disappointment before giving life another chance? How many times have you protected yourself so much that you accidentally closed the door on joy? Pain teaches people to build walls, but healing teaches them to open windows again. My beloved, your journey has never been about punishment. It has always been about transformation. Every delay, every unanswered prayer, every lonely night has been shaping a version of you that could carry greater peace without losing yourself. You are no longer the same person who first entered this difficult season. You have cried, yet you remained standing. You have questioned, yet you continued believing. You have stumbled, yet you refused to completely give up. That is strength. My child, there are moments when everything appears frozen, but beneath the surface, life is already moving. Seeds grow in darkness before anyone sees green above the ground. Dawn begins while the world still believes it is night. Healing begins before emotions recognize it. Restoration begins before circumstances announce it. Never judge your future by what your eyes can currently measure. My dear one, as they continued looking at your picture, they were reminded of something they had forgotten. They remembered your kindness. They remembered your patience. They remembered the moments when hope felt effortless. They realized they had allowed temporary confusion to erase permanent memories. They had focused so much on what went wrong, that they stopped appreciating everything that had once been beautiful. My beloved, do not allow one painful chapter to rewrite the meaning of your entire story. One difficult season cannot erase years of purpose. One misunderstanding cannot destroy every possibility. One delay cannot cancel what is meant to mature in the right time. Hold on to that truth when doubt whispers otherwise. My child, someone listening today feels emotionally exhausted. You keep asking, when will things finally change? When will I experience peace again? When will the waiting end? Hear this gently. Change often begins quietly. You may not hear loud announcements. You may not see dramatic signs at first. But little by little, peace returns, clarity returns, strength returns. And one day you realize that what once controlled your heart no longer has power over you. My beloved, declare these words with courage. I refuse to let fear write my ending. I refuse to let yesterday define tomorrow. I choose hope over despair. I choose faith over confusion. I choose peace over panic. Say it again. I refuse to let fear write my ending. I refuse to let yesterday define tomorrow. I choose hope over despair. I choose faith over confusion. I choose peace over panic. Let these words settle deep within your spirit, because they carry the strength to outlast every storm you face. My dear one, as the conversation came closer to its end, one final statement was spoken, a statement so unexpected, so deeply personal, that your special person could no longer hold back their tears. They looked at your picture one more time, and in that moment, everything inside them changed forever, because what they heard next was not about the past anymore. It was about the future, and that future carried a promise they never believed they would hear. The future, yes, my beloved, the future became the center of the conversation, and everything that had seemed impossible suddenly looked different. Your special person held your picture close, almost afraid to hear another word, because their heart had already been overwhelmed. But then they heard something that made every breath feel heavier. Do not spend the rest of your life mourning a future that has not even arrived. Those words struck them with incredible force. They realized they had been grieving an ending that had never truly happened. They had accepted defeat without knowing the complete story. My dear one, how many people listening right now are doing the very same thing? You have already imagined the worst. You have already convinced yourself that nothing good can come from this situation. You have already surrendered your expectations because disappointment has become familiar. But my child, never allow fear to become your prophet. Never allow anxiety to write tomorrow's story before tomorrow even arrives. My beloved, there is something powerful about hope. It refuses to die completely, even when buried beneath pain. It keeps breathing, even when surrounded by uncertainty. It keeps waiting, even when tears fall every night. Hope quietly whispers, "This is not over, this is not finished, this chapter is not the conclusion." My dear one, your special person finally admitted something they had hidden from everyone. They confessed that they had tried to move on, they had tried to silence their emotions. They had tried to convince themselves that forgetting you would be easier than facing the truth, but every attempt left them feeling emptier. They discovered that running from unresolved emotions never creates peace, it only creates longer roads back to healing. My beloved, hear this carefully, healing does not begin when circumstances become perfect, healing begins the moment a heart becomes honest, the moment pride falls. The moment forgiveness becomes stronger than resentment. The moment hope becomes louder than fear, that is where transformation begins. My child, perhaps someone has hurt you, perhaps someone misunderstood you, perhaps someone walked away before giving your heart the chance it deserved. Do not let another person's actions convince you that your value has changed. Your worth has never depended on someone's confusion. Your purpose has never depended on another person's timing. You remain valuable, you remain chosen. You remain capable of loving without losing yourself. My dear one, repeat these words slowly. I will not let bitterness become my identity. I will not let disappointment become my future. I will keep my heart open to peace. I will keep my spirit anchored in hope. I will continue walking forward even when I cannot see the entire path. Say it once more with confidence. I will not let bitterness become my identity. I will not let disappointment become my future. I will keep my heart open to peace. I will keep my spirit anchored in hope. I will continue walking forward even when I cannot see the entire path. My beloved, while your special person listened, they began remembering moments they had forgotten, small acts of kindness, quiet conversations, simple smiles. The little details they once overlooked suddenly became priceless. They understood that love is rarely built through grand moments alone. It grows through consistency, through patience, through choosing someone again and again, even when life becomes complicated. My child, there is a reason you have survived everything that tried to break you. You were never meant to remain trapped inside yesterday. You were always meant to become stronger than your pain, stronger than rejection, stronger than fear, stronger than every voice that whispered, "Give up." Because every challenge has been shaping a heart that can carry peace instead of panic, wisdom instead of confusion, faith instead of despair. My dear one, as the conversation finally reached its most emotional moment, one final question remained unanswered. Your special person looked at your picture with tears filling their eyes and whispered, "If another opportunity truly comes, will they still open their heart to me, or have I already waited too long?" The answer they received next became the turning point of everything. And it revealed why the coming days would bring a moment neither of you could have imagined, a moment where silence would finally give way to truth, and everything would begin to change. The question lingered in the air, if another opportunity truly comes, will they still open their heart to me, or have I already waited too long? My beloved, there are questions that come from the mind, and there are questions that rise from the deepest places of the heart. This was not curiosity. This was vulnerability. This was the cry of someone who had finally become honest with themselves. The answer came gently, yet it carried a weight that could not be ignored. No one can promise another person's choice, but every sincere act of humility, truth, and compassion plants the seeds for healing. Do not assume the story is finished while there are still pages left to write. Those words settled over them like the first light after a long night. They realized that hope is not the certainty of a specific outcome. Hope is the courage to move forward with integrity regardless of what tomorrow brings. My dear one, listen with your whole heart. There are moments when you want guarantees. You want to know exactly how every prayer will be answered, exactly when every burden will disappear, exactly how every relationship will unfold. But life rarely offers certainty before the journey. It asks for faith, patience, and the willingness to keep becoming the person you were created to be, even while the ending remains unseen. My beloved, do not allow your future to be controlled by regret. Regret whispers, "If only I had." Faith whispers, "Today is another opportunity." Regret keeps your eyes fixed behind you. Faith gives you the strength to take the next step forward. Choose the voice that leads you toward peace, not the one that chains you to yesterday. My child, someone listening has been carrying guilt for far too long. You replay old conversations, you replay missed opportunities, you replay moments you wish you could change. But hear this truth: you cannot rewrite yesterday, yet you can write today with greater wisdom. You cannot erase every mistake, yet you can choose honesty, kindness, forgiveness, and courage from this moment onward. That choice has the power to transform the direction of your life. My dear one, repeat these words until they become part of your spirit. I release what I cannot change. I embrace the lessons I have learned. I welcome peace into my heart. I refuse to let fear steal another day. I release what I cannot change. I embrace the lessons I have learned. I welcome peace into my heart. I refuse to let fear steal another day. My beloved, as they continued holding your picture, their tears no longer came from hopelessness, they came from clarity. For the first time in a long while, they stopped asking, "Why did this happen?" and began asking, "Who can I become because of what happened?" That single shift changed everything, because growth begins when blame ends, strength begins when excuses end, healing begins when honesty begins. My child, never underestimate the quiet work taking place inside your own heart. Every day you choose compassion over anger, you grow. Every day you choose patience over panic, you grow. Every day you choose hope over despair, you grow. These changes may seem invisible today, but one day you will look back and realize they prepared you for blessings you could never have carried before. My beloved, if this message has found you at the right moment, let it remind you that your value is not determined by another person's approval. Your peace is not dependent on perfect circumstances, your future is not built upon fear, but upon the daily choices you make to walk with wisdom, humility, and hope. Keep your heart open. Keep your character strong, keep believing that even after difficult seasons, new beginnings remain possible, because the most powerful part of this journey was never about a prediction, it was about transformation. And as your special person slowly lowered your picture, one final realization filled the room. The greatest miracle they needed was not merely a changed situation, it was a changed heart. And once the heart begins to change, everything else can begin to change with it. In the final part, the journey reaches its emotional conclusion, bringing a message of peace, courage, renewed purpose, and a blessing for every listener who has been waiting for hope to rise again. The journey has brought you here, to this final moment, not to leave you with fear, but to leave you with hope. My beloved, if you have listened from the very beginning, then you already know this message was never truly about a picture. It was never truly about one conversation. It was never truly about one person's uncertainty. It has always been about the transformation of the human heart, because when the heart changes, perspectives change, when perspectives change, choices change, and when choices change, the direction of life can change as well. My dear one, there will always be voices that tell you to give up, there will always be moments when disappointment feels louder than hope. There will always be days when you question your strength, but never forget this. You have already survived days you once believed would break you, you have already walked through storms you thought would never end, you have already carried burdens that seemed impossible to bear, and yet, here you are, still breathing, still learning, still growing, still capable of choosing love over bitterness, faith over fear, peace over panic. My child, do not measure your future by your current emotions. Emotions are real, but they are not permanent, they rise, they fall, they change. But character, faith, hope, and love can remain steady even while emotions are unsettled. Build your life upon what endures, build your life upon kindness, build your life upon integrity, build your life upon compassion, build your life upon courage. My beloved, if your special person truly longs for healing, let healing begin with honesty. If you long for peace, let peace begin inside your own heart. If you long for restoration, let restoration begin with forgiveness where it is wise, with humility where it is needed, and with healthy boundaries where they protect your well-being. Real transformation is never forced. It is chosen, one decision, one conversation, one act of grace at a time. My dear one, there is someone listening who has almost forgotten how valuable they are. You compare yourself to others, you replay your failures, you believe your best days are behind you, but hear these words. Your story is not defined by your worst chapter. Your identity is not determined by your greatest mistake, your future is not cancelled because life became difficult. There is still purpose within you, there is still kindness within you, there is still strength within you, there is still hope within you. My beloved, stand tall again, lift your eyes again. Breathe deeply again. Do not allow yesterday to steal today's opportunity. Do not allow fear to silence your compassion. Do not allow uncertainty to imprison your dreams. Keep becoming the person who brings light into dark places, keep becoming the person whose words heal rather than wound, keep becoming the person who refuses to surrender hope, even when the road becomes difficult. My child, say these words with all your heart. I choose hope. I choose peace. I choose wisdom. I choose courage. I choose patience. I choose compassion. I will not let fear decide who I become. I will not let pain erase my kindness. I will continue moving forward with faith, integrity, and love. Repeat them once more. I choose hope. I choose peace. I choose wisdom. I choose courage. I choose patience. I choose compassion. I will not let fear decide who I become. I will not let pain erase my kindness. I will continue moving forward with faith, integrity, and love. My beloved, if these words have encouraged your heart today, carry them beyond this moment. Share hope with someone who feels forgotten. Offer kindness where bitterness expects another wound. Be the reason another person believes tomorrow can be brighter than today. Sometimes the greatest miracle is not a dramatic event, it is a transformed heart that begins changing the lives around it through everyday acts of love and compassion. My dear one, before this message comes to its close, receive this blessing. May your heart be filled with peace when anxiety tries to enter. May wisdom guide your decisions when confusion surrounds you. May courage strengthen you when fear whispers surrender. May compassion remain alive within you, even after disappointment. May hope rise again every morning. May you discover new purpose in every season, and may you continue becoming a source of encouragement to everyone whose path crosses yours. Remember this always: your journey is still unfolding, your story is still being written, and as long as you continue walking with hope, integrity, compassion, and faith, there will always be another page filled with possibility, another sunrise after every night, another opportunity to become the person you were always capable of becoming. Go forward in peace, my beloved, carry hope wherever you go, and never forget that even the longest night cannot prevent the dawn from arriving.